Just 4 days out from the US election, and it comes as no surprise that the two candidates are deep in the battleground states. Joining me live is Republican strategist and former Senate candidate for New Jersey, Alex Zdan. Alex, good to have you on the program again. Lots of people, pollsters, others, bookmakers say this person will win, that person will win. The bottom line is this is so close, no one knows.
Well, I'm seeing some very encouraging signs on our side, especially when you look at the early vote. Republicans have taken to early voting in a big way, both in my home state in New Jersey and in places like Pennsylvania, which is an absolutely crucial battleground state. You are right that a lot of these polls are very tight, but we've seen a shift toward former President Trump. In just the last week and a half, we need all Republicans to turn out and vote, but this election is definitely well within the grasp of the Trump team.
The people in the team, in the Trump team, obviously continue to try to control their leader. Just have a look at what he said about Liz Cheney with Tucker Carlson. I'll get your response.
She's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it. You know, when the guns are trained on her face. You know, they're all war hawks when they're sitting in Washington in a nice building saying, oh, gee, let's send 10,000 troops right into the mouth of the enemy.
Your thoughts, Alex?
First, I'll tell you this, that former President Trump, when he was in office for 4 years, he did not start a war, unlike any of his predecessors. He is a president that wants to use American military force judiciously, and his point is well taken that individuals like Dick Cheney, who championed the Iraq War, never wanted to send their sons or daughters into harm's way. Also, Tim,
we're just having a chat here. I'm asking you, not just what did you think of that? What did you think of what he said from a PR, from a political perspective?
Like I was about to say, Tim. I know that a lot of people in our society, I'm talking across the world, live in sort of these social media bubbles, and they expect everyone to sound like and think like them. I have gotten to the point, both because I live outside my social media bubble and I'm a little bit older, that just because someone doesn't say something exactly the way that I might say it, doesn't mean they don't have a right to express themselves. Just because I wouldn't phrase something a certain way doesn't mean that I look down on anyone else who phrases something differently than the way that I speak.
Well, a lot of people around him have already come out and said, oh, he's been misinterpreted. Anyway, we'll push that to one side. They are in the battleground states. This is where this is going to be won and lost. For people that are, and most people by now have really been watching this all around the world and have become a bit of an expert on US politics. But we know that so many of the 50 states have a blue or red sign, and that's just the way it's going to go. It's come down to 7 of them.
Absolutely right. And I'm heartened by the fact that I'm sure a lot of your viewers can now find North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Michigan on a map. Yeah, without question, it's going to come down to those battleground states. But in the majority of those states, President Trump is either ahead or well within the margin of error. His message resonates in places like Pennsylvania and Georgia. President Trump spent a lot of time himself on the ground in these states, and going to a McDonald's and serving food in a drive-in window in Pennsylvania is going to help make an impact. Being in that garbage truck in the Midwest is something that is going to make a huge impact. It's the images of this campaign that are really resonating with people. President Trump has been known as the blue-collar billionaire since his developer days in New York City, and that is continuing. He's showing it with images like that.
It's pretty ugly in parts, though, isn't it? It's a very divided country, not just politically, but even on gender lines for this election.
I don't think division has to be ugly, Tim. And I think that, especially across the way from where you are, that you may see an amplification of a lot of these negative voices. What I see on the ground is passionate people, especially Republicans, who want to come out and express their democratic, constitutional, God-given right to vote for the candidate of their choice, who is, in this election, President Trump. They really do want to come to the fore and protect this nation, make it better for them and for their children's generation. And I find that inspiring. I think the democratic process in the United States of America is alive and well, and over 60 million people who have voted already would probably agree with me.
It's going to come down to small things, isn't it, really, for these undecided voters? Gas prices as low as they've been in a long, long time. Those little things could make an impact.
Well, we just saw numbers today, Tim, that job growth in the United States is sluggish. The Biden administration is still presiding over a cooling economy. And I have to disagree with you on undecided voters a little bit. Yeah, there are some undecided voters out there in some states, maybe about 4 or 5%. Sure, they can determine the fate of a race. But right now in the United States, especially in these battleground states, it is about turning out your base. And that is exactly what the Trump team is doing in a big way with help from Elon Musk. That's going to win this election, getting those voters to the polls, especially on election day through early voting and through some vote by mail. And I think it's going very well, very promising.
I think it's going to be very, very tight, Alex. It's always good to have you on the program, and we look forward to doing it again soon.
Thanks, Tim.